6 bodies, 1 house, and a story so terrifying it still haunts us 50 years later. Please, like and subscribe. Now let's get back to the horror. The story of the Amityville Horror begins with a crime so brutal that it cast a shadow over a quiet suburban neighborhood forever. In November of 1974, Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. took the lives of his parents and 4 younger siblings inside their Dutch colonial home on Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. What stunned investigators was the strange silence of the murders. Each family member was found in their bed, lying face down, as if frozen in their sleep. No neighbors heard frantic cries, no one attempted to escape, and even the family dog remained strangely quiet. How one man could fire a rifle 6 times in the dead of night without waking the entire household remains an unsettling mystery. During the investigation, Ronald Jr. first claimed that the murders were connected to the mob. Later, he confessed, but his story kept changing. At times, he insisted voices in the house commanded him to kill. At other times, he blamed his sister. His erratic testimony left the truth clouded in confusion. Whether the killings were an act of calculated evil or influenced by something darker within the walls of the home, the fact remained. The DeFeo house was no longer an ordinary suburban property. It had become a crime scene soaked in horror. Barely a year later, George and Kathy Lutz moved in with their 3 children, hoping for a fresh start. By outward appearances, the house was a dream. 3 stories tall, with a boathouse and a view of the Amityville River, it looked perfect for a young family. Yet from the first night, the Lutzes claimed, things felt wrong. George began waking every night at 3:15 a.m., the same time the DeFeo murders were committed. He grew increasingly distant, irritable, and obsessed with the fireplace, as though something unseen was draining his energy. Kathy reported disturbing dreams and sensations, including invisible hands touching her and sudden foul odors drifting through rooms. Their daughter claimed to see a pig-like creature with glowing red eyes, often looking in through her window. Doors slammed on their own, crucifixes twisted upside down, and black slime oozed from keyholes and walls. The longer they stayed, the worse it became. Rooms turned ice cold without explanation. Shadows seemed to dart across hallways. Even family friends who visited spoke of sudden unease, as if the house itself was alive. After just 28 days, the Lutz family abandoned the home in the middle of the night, leaving behind possessions and never returning. Their story would ignite one of the most famous hauntings in modern history. News of the haunting spread like wildfire. Paranormal investigators, priests, and reporters all sought to uncover the truth of what had driven the family away. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the most famous ghost hunters of their time, visited the house and declared it dangerously haunted. Lorraine claimed she felt an overwhelming sense of evil inside, while Ed attempted to capture evidence of demonic presence. Photographs taken during their investigation included one image that appeared to show a ghostly child peering out of a doorway, though skeptics have argued it was simply a camera mishap. Yet skeptics quickly pointed to inconsistencies in the Lutz story. One of the most famous details, the appearance of hoofprints in the snow, was contradicted by weather records showing no snowfall during the time. The so-called red room in the basement turned out to be a storage closet. The infamous green slime has never been verified. Critics argued that the haunting was an elaborate hoax, possibly concocted with the encouragement of writer Jay Anson, who published the best-selling book, The Amityville Horror in 1977. The house itself became just as notorious as the stories surrounding it. Built in 1927, its distinctive quarter-moon windows gave it a face-like appearance, as if it were always watching. The architecture became iconic in horror lore. Later owners tried to erase its image by removing the windows and even changing the address from 112 to 108 Ocean Avenue to throw off tourists. Still, curious onlookers drove by daily, hoping to catch a glimpse of the infamous Evil House. Rumors spread that the land was cursed, perhaps built on a Native American burial ground, though no evidence ever supported the claim. Others believed the murders had stained the very walls, leaving a permanent mark that could never be scrubbed away. Jay Anson's book was an instant success, and Hollywood quickly adapted it into the 1979 film The Amityville Horror. The movie terrified audiences with its chilling imagery and planted the story firmly into American pop culture. Its success sparked sequels, remakes, and countless spin-offs, over 30 films in total, many bearing the Amityville name, though only loosely connected to the original events. Some were serious attempts at horror, others bordered on parody. Yet no matter how far the franchise stretched, the real house on Ocean Avenue remained the beating heart of the legend. The Warrens' involvement only deepened the mystique. Their reputation as demonologists lent the Amityville case an air of authenticity for believers, while skeptics accused them of exploiting tragedy for fame. The photo of the ghostly boy, supposedly captured by their team, remains one of the most circulated paranormal images ever taken. To this day, debates rage about whether it was proof of the supernatural or a clever manipulation. As decades passed, the fascination never waned. Each new generation rediscovered the story, drawn in by its eerie mix of true crime and ghostly terror. The Amityville Horror occupies a unique space because it straddles two worlds: the undeniable brutality of the DeFeo murders and the questionable but captivating tales of haunting that followed. The tension between fact and legend keeps people hooked, ensuring that the story never dies. In recent years, Hollywood has returned once again to Amityville. Amazon MGM Studios is working on a reimagining of the original tale, with creators tied to successful modern horror franchises. New adaptations promise to retell the legend with fresh scares and modern filmmaking. Meanwhile, documentaries and anniversary specials continue to revisit the house, interviewing locals who still remember the media frenzy of the 1970s. Some neighbors insist that eerie feelings persist, claiming shadows move across windows when the house is supposed to be empty. Others dismiss it entirely, saying the only real evil in Amityville was human violence, not supernatural terror. The current owners of the house rarely speak publicly. They insist they have never experienced anything unusual and would prefer to live quietly without the constant intrusion of horror fans. The home has been bought and sold multiple times, each sale reigniting debate. Despite renovations, despite the address change, despite efforts to distance it from its reputation, the house can never escape its identity. It remains both a burden and an attraction, drawing the curious and the fearful alike. So what are we left with when we look at the Amityville Horror today? On one side, there is the undeniable tragedy of 6 lives cut short, a crime that scarred a family and a neighborhood forever. On the other side, there is the legend of hauntings, a media spectacle, and decades of cultural impact. Whether the Lutz family truly faced supernatural forces, or whether the story was an elaborate fabrication, the Amityville Horror has become a modern myth. It is not simply about a house, but about the way fear spreads, the way stories grow, and the way legends refuse to die. Perhaps that is the most terrifying part. Evil does not always vanish when the crime scene is cleaned or when the windows are replaced. Sometimes it lingers in whispers, in stories, and in the imagination of millions. The Amityville Horror stands as proof that the scariest places are not always isolated castles or abandoned asylums. Sometimes they are ordinary homes, in ordinary neighborhoods, hiding extraordinary darkness. And long after the screams fade, the legend lives on. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what I should cover next. Thank you.